justice reform is to implement the statutory basis for the establishment of the Garda Authority. Now, in your remarks, you say this is a first for Irish policing. This is not a first for Irish policing. There's been a police authority in the north from well, that's part of the island, and at a time when we were told in Sinn Féin that it could not be achieved, we diligently stuck with the task and were able with others to bring about that type of wholesale reform. Secondly, and I've said this to you quite a few times, on the issue of consultation, one of the most significant contributions that I think that Sinn Féin made was to persuade the Patent Commission to go into neighbourhoods and into villages like Crossmaglen and West Belfast and the Shankill and other areas which had suffered grievously during the conflict, and to hear their experiences. And I think when we talk about consultation, the same thing should happen here. People of Sheriff Street, of Sean McDermott Street, of Limerick, of working class areas may have a slightly different view of policing from those in more palatial areas, and I agree with you entirely that the vast majority of the officers of Garda Síochána carry out their duties in a very brave and courageous and highly skilled manner. But if we are to do our duty by them, but also by the citizens that they serve, then this policing authority needs to be brought forward as quickly as possible. And I haven't seen the Garda Inspector's crime investigation report, but I've been briefed on it in terms of what's in the media, and Patrick McLaughlin will deal with our party's response to it. But 200 recommendations are eloquent argument for the need for the type of wholesale reform that is necessary. You also talk about this being a radical move. Taoiseach, you've opposed it when we proposed it. Alan Shatter, the former minister, proposed it, dismissed it as being totally and absolutely unnecessary. The government set its face against it until such was the public clamour about the revelations that were coming week on week on week on week, that now, and I welcome this, the government was forced to U-turn on this issue. So can we be given an indication of when the full legislation will be before the Dáil? There are ongoing issues, and this will be fired by today's report, and then it will become another matter of controversy, when in fact I presume the job of government is to ensure that the public have confidence in the agencies and the institutions of the state, as opposed to this corrosive, ongoing undermining of public confidence. So when can we expect the legislation to be here, and is it possible that it could be discussed before the end of this session?
Thank you, Taoiseach. It's a very significant move for the 26 counties to move to an independent policing authority, and it was important that the chair designate of the policing authority be in a position to sit in respect of the final assessment of the person to be considered for appointment as Garda Commissioner. So the Minister for Justice will deal with the appointment of the independent authority very shortly, and obviously that person will be in a position to assist in the assessing of the final interviews for the appointment of the next Garda Commissioner. As I said, Deputy, it will provide an opportunity for that person to drive reforms of the policing system and practices to ensure that the Gardaí are actually fit to have the facilities to do their job in a modern society efficiently and competently, and give them the resources that they need. I mean, we've tried in the last couple of years to provide some extra funding for the provision of services for vehicles, motorbikes and cars for Gardaí. God Almighty, I saw some of them myself, 300 and 400,000 miles on clapped-out cars. You can't have this situation continue where they're up against criminals who use high-powered cars to cross the country as they go about their criminal business. You're aware that the authority will comprise of a chairperson and 8 ordinary members. Those ordinary members will be appointed by the government following the holding of a selection process run by the Independent Appointments Service, and a resolution of both houses of the Oireachtas will be required to get agreements on the appointments. The authority will approve a 3-year strategy statement and an annual policing plan to be submitted by the Commissioner. The authority will establish and publish within 12 months a code of ethics that includes standards of conduct and practices for members of the Garda Síochána. And the authority will hold at least quarterly meetings in public, so that there will be that engagement around the country. If that's where they wish to hold their meetings in public in different locations, that will be their choice. They will be entitled to request GSOC to investigate any policing matter that gives rise to a concern that a member of the Garda Síochána may have committed an offence or behaved in a manner that would require disciplinary proceedings. They can request GSOC, subject to the Minister, to investigate any behaviour of the Garda Commissioner in the context of his or her functions relating to policing matters. They can request GSOC to examine practices or procedures of the Garda Síochána in relation to policing matters, and they can request the Garda Síochána Inspectorate to initiate an inspection or inquiry in relation to aspects of the operation and administration of the Garda Síochána insofar as they pertain, Count Corler, to police matters. The legislation, I can't give you a precise date on it, Deputy Adams, but I will update you. It's work very much underway, and the intention is to have it legislated for as soon as possible. So that's the position.
Deputy Higgins.
Taoiseach, what role has the Justice Subcommittee